Hi, I'm Mary. I'm 18 and a senior in high school. Up until recently, life was pretty decent, just me and my dad, James. Ever since my mom passed a few years back, he's been my rock, and I've been his. He's always encouraged my dreams of becoming a journalist, one who takes down corruption and fights for the truth. But then Jennifer showed up. Dad met her at some work event, and suddenly, everything shifted. She's divorced with a son named Andrew, who's 16 and about as charming as a wet sock. At first, I tried to be cool about it. Dad deserved to be happy. But something about Jennifer got under my skin. She was always cozying up to Dad, laughing at his every joke, giving me these fake, sugary smiles that never reached her eyes. "Mary, sweetie," she'd say, "you don't mind if I rearrange the living room, right? James says you're so easygoing." I'd just grit my teeth and nod. "Whatever makes you feel at home, Jennifer." But it didn't stop there. Before I knew it, Dad was talking about marriage. "Don't you think this is moving a little fast, Dad?" I asked, trying to be reasonable. He just shrugged it off. "When you know, kiddo. Jennifer makes me happy." The wedding was a blur. One minute, I was trying to be a supportive daughter. The next, I was watching Dad smash cake into the face of a woman I barely knew. Things got tense fast. I hear Jennifer and Dad arguing late at night. "James, we need a bigger place," she'd say. "This house is too small for 4 people. But Dad was firm. "We can't afford it right now, honey. Maybe in a few months." Her response was always the same. "Well, something has to give. Andrew needs his own space." I tried to ignore it, until one night, Dad knocked on my door, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Mary, honey, we need to talk." My stomach sank. "What's up, Dad?" He couldn't even look me in the eye. "Jennifer and I think it might be best if you moved into the guest room. Just temporarily, of course." I felt like I'd been punched. "You want me to give up my room for Andrew?" Dad tried to explain he's not adjusting well, and Jennifer thinks. Oh, so it's what Jennifer thinks now. All I could do was nod numbly. "Fine, whatever. I'll move my stuff tomorrow." As Dad left, I heard Jennifer downstairs. "See, James, I told you she'd understand." Moving into the guest room felt like exile. My things barely fit, and the walls felt like they were closing in on me. Meanwhile, Andrew moved into my old room as if he owned the place. "Hey sis, thanks for the upgrade," he smirked, rushing past me in the hallway. I bit my tongue hard. "It's Mary, not sis, and you're welcome, I guess." Jennifer seemed to be driving a wedge between Dad and me on purpose. Every time I tried to talk to him, she'd pop up. "James, honey, didn't you say you'd fix the leaky faucet today?" And just like that, any moment I had with Dad would vanish. Andrew's behavior was getting stranger by the day. He'd come home at odd hours, eyes red, muttering something about study groups. His moods were all over the place, laughing one second, snapping the next. I couldn't focus on school. My grades started slipping. One of my teachers pulled me aside after class. "Mary, is everything okay? This isn't like you." I just shrugged. "I'm fine. Just distracted." At lunch, I finally spilled everything to my best friend, Zoe. "Something's not right with Andrew," I told her. "He's always sneaking around, and I swear I smelled weed in the bathroom the other day." Zoe's eyes widened. "Mary, I didn't want to say anything, but I see him hanging out with Jake's crew behind the gym." My stomach dropped. Jake's group was known for drugs and trouble. "Are you serious? Does my dad even know who he's let into our house?" Zoe shook her head. "I doubt it. Andrew's the type to play nice in front of the parents." I knew I had to do something, but Dad was too wrapped up in his honeymoon phase with Jennifer to see it. "I need to find out what Andrew's really up to," I said, determination hardening in my voice. Zoe looked at me, her expression full of worry. "Be careful, Mary. This could backfire big time." But I was done being careful. This was my home, my family, and I wasn't about to let Andrew and Jennifer tear it apart. I decided to count my savings from my part-time job at the diner, hoping I'd put away enough for emergencies. But as I counted, I felt a chill. I was missing $100. I'd been so careful, hiding my cash in different spots around my room. Someone had found it. Late that night, I heard a creak outside my door. I held my breath, heart pounding. Slowly, the door opened, and I saw Andrew's silhouette in the darkness. That's when I snapped. "What the hell are you doing?" I hissed, flipping on the light. Andrew jumped, eyes wide. I was just looking for more money to steal, I accused, stepping closer. His surprised expression turned cold. So what if it was? What are you going to do about it? I'm telling Dad, you little thief. Before I could react, Andrew grabbed my arm, his grip painful. You're not telling anyone. Got it? You have no idea what I'm dealing with. I yanked my arm away. Oh yeah? Why will you enlighten me? He looked away, his voice cracking. You think it's easy moving to a new town, new school, living with little Miss Perfect. Realization dawned on me. You're using the money for drugs. Andrew let out a bitter laugh. Bingo. Give the girl a prize. I felt sick. Andrew, this is serious. You need help. I don't need anything from you, he spat. If you breathe a word of this to anyone, I'll make your life hell. As he stormed out, I sank to the floor, overwhelmed. What was I supposed to do? The next few days at school, I kept an eye on Andrew, noticing his bloodshot eyes and jittery demeanor. His behavior was spiraling, and it was only a matter of time before things got worse. A classmate pulled me aside one day, looking shaken. Mary, you should have seen it. We were in English, and Andrew just flipped out. Knocked his desk over and started yelling at Mrs. Johnson right in her face. Said, who cares about Shakespeare? Never seen him snap like that before. I tried to swallow my anxiety, but then an announcement crackled over the PA. Attention students, please remain in your classrooms. We will be conducting a routine locker check. My stomach dropped. I knew what they find in Andrew's locker. An hour later, I was called to the principal's office. Mr. Harmon's expression was grim. Mary, I understand Andrew is your stepbrother. I nodded, my mouth dry. We found illegal substances in his locker. Given the amount, we have reason to believe he may be dealing. I gasped, shocked. Dealing? No, he's just using. I stopped, realizing what I'd just admitted. Mr. Harmon leaned forward. Mary, what do you know about this? So I told him everything, the stealing, the mood swings, the threats. By the end, I was shaking. Mr. Harmon sighed. Thank you for your honesty. Unfortunately, given the severity of the situation, we'll need to involve the police and Child Protective Services. My head spun. The police? I'm sorry, Mary, but this is beyond the school's jurisdiction now. We'll need to contact your parents immediately. As I left the office on shaky legs, I saw Andrew being escorted out by 2 officers. Our eyes met for a brief moment, and in his gaze I saw anger, fear, and something else. Desperation. I slumped against the wall, feeling my world crumble. How had it come to this? And how was I going to face my dad? Later that night, police cruisers pulled up to our house, lights flashing. From my window, I watched as 2 officers approached the front door. My dad answered, confusion etched on his face. Mr. Thompson, we need to speak with you and your son, Andrew. Dad's voice shook. What's this about? Sir, we have a warrant to search the premises. Your son was found in possession of illegal substances at school. I saw the color drain from Dad's face as he let them in. Jennifer came rushing down the stairs, eyes wide. What's going on? Andrew? The next hour was a blur. Police searched Andrew's room, uncovering more drugs and stolen cash. Andrew sat sullen and handcuffed, being questioned in the living room while I watched it all unfold, feeling like I was in some twisted movie. Dad turned to me, his eyes pleading. Mary, did you know about this? Before I could answer, Jennifer cut in, her voice dripping with accusation. Of course she knew. She's probably the one who ratted him out, always jealous of Andrew, weren't you? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Are you kidding me? Andrew's been stealing from me for months. He even threatened me when I caught him. Dad's head whipped around. He what? And just like that, everything came pouring out. The theft, the threats, and the way Jennifer had been treating me. Dad listened, his face growing darker with each revelation. Why did he tell me? He asked, his voice breaking. Would you have believed me? I shot back. You've been so wrapped up in your new family, you didn't even notice what was happening. Jennifer screeched. This is ridiculous, James. Are you really going to let her talk to me like that after everything we've done for her? But something had shifted in Dad's eyes. He looked at Jennifer as though seeing her for the first time. What you've done for her, he asked quietly, you've made her feel unwelcome in her own home, pushed her out of her room, undermined our relationship, and ignored the fact that your son was spiraling out of control. Jennifer's face contorted with rage. How dare you? This is all her fault. If she hadn't been such a little. Enough, Dad roared. I had never heard him yell like that before. He turned to the officers. I think you have what you need. Please take Andrew into custody. As they led Andrew out, he shot me a glare. Hope you're happy now, sis. Jennifer grabbed her purse, her expression twisted with anger. If you're choosing her over us, we're done. Don't bother calling. And with that, she stormed out. Just like that, they were gone, leaving the house in silence. The weight of everything that had happened settled over us like a heavy blanket. Dad and I stood there, neither of us knowing what to say. Finally, he spoke, his voice thick with emotion. Mary, I'm so sorry. I've been a terrible father. I wanted to stay angry to make him feel the hurt and neglect I had felt. But seeing him so broken, I couldn't do it. You really have, Dad. He nodded, tears in his eyes. I know, I got so caught up in trying to create this perfect new family that I forgot about the amazing one I already had. Can you ever forgive me? I took a deep breath. It's going to take time, Dad. A lot of time. We talked for hours that night, really talked for the first time in months. We spoke about Mom, our fears, and how we drifted apart. By the end, we were both emotionally drained. I said slowly, I think I need some space to process everything. Dad looked pained but nodded. I understand. What do you want to do? Can I stay with Aunt Sarah for a while? Just to finish out senior year. Of course, sweetheart. Whatever you need. The next few months were a whirlwind. Moving in with Aunt Sarah, focusing on school, and slowly rebuilding my relationship with Dad. He started therapy, working through his grief over Mom and his guilt over what had happened with Jennifer and Andrew. And slowly, Dad and I began to mend. It wasn't perfect, and things weren't the same as before, but he was trying. He visited regularly, always respecting my boundaries, showing me he was committed to making things right. I knew we still had a long way to go, but we were on the right path. The story of Mary, her father, and their fractured family has come to an end. Now I have a question for you. If you were in Mary's shoes, would you have forgiven your father? Or do you think some betrayals are too deep to truly move past? Share your thoughts in the comments below.